Hi guys, it's ASBYT and this is the Huawei P30 Pro. It was launched just over a month ago, but sometimes those early reviews can get a little bit excited in the new stuff. So in this video, we're going to delve a little bit deeper. We're going to go through a full, complete review, the good, the bad, the pros and the cons, the truth. So without further ado, let's get straight to it. It was much hyped on launch and I've been using this as my daily driver recently. We're going to talk the camera, battery life, display, and everything in between. So first of all, we're going to talk battery life, and this is an area where I think the Huawei P30 Pro generally stands out right at the top amongst its competitors, not only with its battery capacity with its whopping 4,200 mAh, which I might add has managed to get me through many a day without any problems whatsoever. I haven't really needed to charge it. Sometimes I don't then charge it until the following morning actually. Just as I'm saying that, I'm looking down and I've got 3% battery. I didn't charge it last night, we're fine. But also on top of that, you have the Huawei super fast charging, which is absolutely rapid. Another reason why I generally don't charge overnight is because in the morning, I whack it on for half an hour while I'm getting ready, and then it's got enough battery to pretty much last me the day. Now we're gonna jump onto the speaker, and something I didn't really touch on in my first review, and I'm kind of indifferent with this one. In terms of volume, it's more than loud enough, but unfortunately, because it doesn't have stereo speakers, you just don't get that full, rich sound that you might get with some of its competitors. And unfortunately for the Huawei P30 Pro, because I have come from the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus with its really great stereo speakers, I have noticed that difference. If you are prone to blocking a speaker with your big clumsy fingers, then this might not be the phone for you. Now in terms of build quality, I can't complain. I've had no scratches or anything really, and I've not even been using a case or a screen protector. Disclaimer, that's not to say it's not going to scratch or break if you do drop it, but I've just been quite careful with it and I have no mystery scratches that have just appeared overnight, which often happens on modern smartphones. Now feeling the hand, originally when I first reviewed this, I felt that this was actually more comfortable in the hand than the Samsung S10 Plus. It's just that little bit rounder at the back and it is very easy to hold even though it is a large 6.39 inch display. Now obviously it's common knowledge that we do have the infinity curved edge display, and while I really do like the look of these sort of devices, certainly there are compromises. The sort of palm and touch rejection on the edges does still need a bit of work, and there's one other problem of having the infinity display on here, which has been on the odd occasion, it's not often, but on the odd occasion it does happen, it has been fairly irritating, and that is because of the way Huawei do their gestures on EMUI 9.1, which is of course over Android 9 on here. It means that when you swipe back from either the right or left, it has sometimes read that I'm trying to actually press an individual link or a video, for example, that is in that same area as where you're trying to swipe, instead of treating it as me wanting to go back. I would prefer to see, like some of the other manufacturers, swipe up from the bottom left or right, for example, instead of using the sides. I know Xiaomi do a similar thing as well, which in my experience works fine with a flat display, but with a curved display, it doesn't quite work as well. Again, something that's very nitpicking really, but at the end of the day, if you're going to spend your hard-earned cash, you might want to know all of the little details. It is a lower resolution than their previous Mate 20 Pro, which many people were a little bit disappointed and felt that it was certainly almost a downgrade. What I can say, although it is a lower resolution, the actual build and quality of the display is actually a bit better. Whilst it's not the brightest display on the market, I think it caps out at around 450 nits, so indoor great, outside could be brighter, but still does a pretty good job. It is great consuming media content on here, especially for things like YouTube and Netflix. Now in terms of gaming, I haven't used the P30 Pro that much, but I have used it a little bit, and in that time I have noticed it's been absolutely fine. Obviously the latest Kirin 980, Huawei's in-house SoC, the 7nm chip works absolutely flawlessly for what I've been using it for. I can't say I've been using it for prolonged use, and I can't say I've tested temperatures, for example, but certainly in terms of lag, freezes, glitches and everything like that, I've had no problems with this phone. Yeah, most of the hype surrounding the Huawei P30 Pro was surrounding the quadruple, I nearly said triple, but it's not, the quadruple camera setup at the back, and more importantly, things like the ability to zoom in up to 50 times, which is insane. And I can say, having used it in everyday use, it has come in pretty handy, but there is a few things you need to know not only about the zoom, but the camera in general. Because while I think the camera is great on this device, being classed as the best camera smartphone on the market, for me, is potentially a little bit overhyped. So before we jump onto how I've got on with the P30 Pro camera, let's just do a quick refresh of what it has. So we've got a primary 40 megapixel sensor with f1.6 aperture, a 20 megapixel ultra wide f2.2 aperture lens, and a periscope 8 megapixel sensor with f3.4 aperture. This is where the zoom magic happens. And finally, the fourth lens is a time of flight lens, great for sensing depth for that background blur portrait bokeh effect. So what is good about the camera? Well, for a start, as you will probably know by now, the night mode, yes, sometimes scenes look a little bit unnatural because they can sometimes actually appear lighter on the actual photo than in real life. But certainly with the slower shutter speed, for example, and the AI used in this camera setup, the sort of shots you can get are truly epic. Outside of night mode, there is also plenty of customization on the camera app, and there's also, as you would expect in today's current smartphone climate, certain AI features that you can turn on and off for more vivid colors, things like that. And again, with a software hybrid setup, it can go up to 50 times zoom. It is really, really impressive. With the use of the fourth time of flight lens, it does blur the background, keeps the point of focus, the subject really nice and sharp. On the whole, photos come out really, really nice. Now, in terms of the camera downfalls on the P30 Pro, and why I think potentially it might be a little bit overhyped, is because of the camera quality on the normal, everyday, kind of if you could say gimmicky things, the sort of standard modes almost, there's still stuff that they can improve for sure. One area where I don't feel the P30 Pro works very well is with its HDR performance. So if you have a setting which has got really bright areas and really dark areas all in one, I don't think you get the best performance out of all the smartphones on the market. And this is evident in my camera comparison video. Often the highlights, skies, clouds, etc. get quite blown out in order to raise the darker areas. There is a sharpening feature which happens after pressing the shutter, and there is a bit of a delay using this feature which I personally don't really like. And sometimes the actual photos appear sharper on your phone screen than if you were to upload them to a computer, for example. So sometimes the AI can be a bit misleading on the results, but it's minor. The front-facing camera is a 32 megapixel lens with f2.0 aperture, and it's okay. It's not terrible. You can get some really nice shots on it. It's not my favorite selfie front-facing camera though. Now, in terms of video, and again including that 5x optical zoom, you can create some wonderful bits of work. Feel free to check out my full camera comparison video between this, the Pixel 3 XL, the iPhone XS Max, the Xiaomi Mi 9, the OnePlus 6T, and the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus, if you want to see the main pros and cons of the camera of this device. Fingerprint magnet. Please stop. Phones are gonna get fingerprints if they're made of metal and glass. Every review. It's a fingerprint magnet. The facial recognition, while it's not as secure as the Mate 20 Pro, being 2D and more easily fooled, it has been, in my experience, pretty rapid, but I can't say I've actually used it as much as the in-display fingerprint sensor, which is quicker than the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. I think there has been a software update to the S10 Plus, which is meant to help with the speed of the... What was that word? Of that fingerprint sensor. But certainly before the update, the Huawei P30 Pro was quicker. Again, it is optical, so not quite as secure, but I personally prefer, with the fingerprint sensor and Face ID, to be quicker rather than more secure. That is just me, and you may differ. And also, you may or may not know there is an IR blaster on the end of this device, and while that's never been a massive draw for me for a smartphone, I know it's really important to a lot of people, and I can actually say I have used it a couple of times when I couldn't find my TV remote. So not essential, but again, if you can throw it on there, why not? So overall, the Huawei P30 Pro has some amazing features. The night mode is incredible. The zoom capabilities is, for a smartphone again, incredible. The build quality, feel in the hand, battery life, for example, all really, really solid, if not right at the top of the game. The display is good, not the best. The same can be said for the speakers. The software, whilst very quick and smooth, still needs a few tweaks here and there, I think. And of course, it's a really good camera, but I feel like they've focused so much on the night mode on here, which is great, that they've kind of not worked as hard on the other areas of the camera to make it the best smartphone camera out there. So as a result, those saying that this is the best smartphone camera out there, I think they're overhyping it a little bit. Here's where you guys come in. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of the Huawei P30 Pro. Either if you have one, how have you got on with it? Has it lived up to your expectations? Or if you haven't got one and have just been seeing reviews, what impression have you got of this device from watching all of those? And do you think that this review is fair? Because at the end of the day, that's I suppose what I'm trying to do, give you a fair reflection of how I've got on with it in the time I've had it, the good and the bad. Like and share if you did enjoy this video and found it helpful. Subscribe and hit that notification bell if you're new to the channel or want to be notified every time I post a video on anything tech, pretty much daily content here on YouTube. I love you and leave you as the sun's completely gone down now. The storm clouds are actually circling, so I'm probably gonna have to go before the thunder and lightning starts. I love you and leave you. I'll see you in the next one. ASBYT, peace out.